Hello and welcome to all of you Virgos out there. This is, yes, another video about the yearly horoscopes. Exactly. I already did the yearly horoscopes, and that was, an overview of most of the things I think that are important. But this video in particular is for Virgos and their degrees. So I'm going to look a little bit more in detail. You're going to love that. Virgos are all about the detail. But it's more about this specific transit. Are you going to feel that depending on an early born Virgo, a later born Virgo, and so on? I'm going to look at the transits far away, right? So start with Pluto, Neptune, and so on up until Jupiter. So let's get started with Pluto. Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, and that's not going to make an aspect with Virgo. It's just going to be in that sixth house of yours, which is your house. So this shows a lot of transformations going on, and you've got a whole long period of time to do this. So a lot of you are going to, depending on how it's in your personal chart, of course, but a lot of you are going to try to transform their work completely, to get more authenticity out of your work, to be, it's going to be where your superpower is for sure. Pluto is about power, it's about strength, and Virgos are used to that energy. So they're not really afraid of getting a bit obsessive around work, which could be the case here. In a good way, use this as your passion, not the negative way of Pluto, which is, obsession, but a little bit of it may be, if you are aware of it. I think that a lot of Virgos will know their passions and will use it in their profession, and will also use it to not only change their lives, but also other people's lives. It's also about your day-to-day habits. There could be a transformation going on, especially with this entering again in Aquarius, that you're saying, look, I'm going to work out 3-4 times a week. I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to change my diet. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you are transforming. It could also mean an issue that you have with your health, that you're going to do this in a Plutonic way. You're going to delve deep. And you're going to go to the root of the matter. Why is it there? Emotionally, physically, whatever. You're going to the root of that matter. But all in all, this Aquarian energy, it's not really making an aspect. So what is more important for some of you Virgos, the most of you Virgos already experience this, but still a couple of Virgos will have this transit, which is Neptune opposing your sign. And it's the Virgos who have degrees between 25 and 29 degrees of Virgo. So it's Neptune opposite your sign. And if you want to know when you were born, or the sun sign, it will be felt mostly for those of you who have planets around, who were born on the 17th of September and onwards. So you out there are going to still experience Neptune opposite the sun, the moon, or your ascendant. It depends a little bit. If it's the sun, it more has to do with career and your identity. If it's the moon, it more has to do with personal relationships, or maybe a place of living, something that you are attached to. And the ascendant has to do with your whole life. So relationships, work, everything. So what does it mean, this Neptune? It is one of the most challenging transits for Virgos. Why? Because Virgos are result-oriented. They've got it in their head. It has to be perfect like this. But of course, with Neptune, it's never possible. Neptune is going to say, I'm going to make you a little bit of parallel universes, or I'm going to make it all blurry. And you will have to develop trust here. So that's the thing. You will have to develop trust that the universe is on your side, and it's going to give you when it's going to give it to you. It's not going to give it to you when it's not going to give it to you. So this is not an easy thing for Virgos. So when it's your ascendant, it's definitely relationships. Also the moon. if you're a woman, it could be a man as well. Neptune opposite your sun sign can be a representative of men in your life. And Neptune is not there to present you men who are not trustworthy and who promise you the world and they can't even take care of themselves and blah, 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 blah. Those are extreme cases. But those Virgos are a little bit more prone to, I want to believe in magic. That's it. It's nothing more, nothing less. When you want to unconsciously, because this is all unconscious, Neptune is about the unconscious. It's ruling the 12th house of the unconscious. So this is not always a thing that we choose for, but it's what we exude, of course. So you are a bit more prone, especially those late-born Virgos, to disillusion, distrust when it comes to connections, relationships, and also at work. Now, how to use this at its best is to incorporate this Neptune. So to express it in your work, to be empathic, to do something for the collective, to do something artistic, creative, to create a little bit of magic in your own life and not letting it be dependent on a person, right? So that, that person's coming in and I'm like mesmerized. It's a very mesmerizing energy. People could fall in love with Neptune opposing their moon and opposing the sun. And with a Neptunian vibe, it's probably too good to be true. In some rare cases, it is, yes, a soulmate and all of that, but it's only showing it, the result, after the transit is over, right? So don't chase, whether you are a man or a woman with Neptune there, I always advise not to chase people so that they are naturally coming to you, and then still test it. If you're in a new connection, ask your best friend that you trust, what do they think about them? So if you're going on a date, you've got Neptune opposing the sun, and your friend just saw them and say, well, what the hell were you thinking? All those red flags, listen to your friend. But the thing is, you probably want to, because you're a Virgo, you're rational, but you will have to go through that process of, empathy and feeling also that people are who they are and going through the motions of this Neptunian vibe. But of course, the more you are aware of it, the less it can cause drama, because Neptune can, of course, cause drama. Especially when it's your ascendant, when you are Virgo rising and Neptune is there, and if you are in a relationship, it could mean that they're doing like strange stuff behind your back that you don't even know of, or that you were blind for many years and all of a sudden now you see. But that was not a particular, and it's a lot about self-love as well. Like, why wasn't I seeing this, right? So it was out of protection, of course, for the self. So whatever it is, especially those later born Virgos, be aware, be a bit wary of new relationships coming into your life and see what they offer and look at their actions, not so much to the words. But ultimately it's learning you how to go with the flow a little bit, how to not judge too much, the judging. I see that in many, many Virgos that have already had the Neptune of opposition. They are becoming less judgmental. Like, yes, we also have flaws, right? It's self-love. And that's what Neptune is trying to do here. Jupiter, Uranus, they are in your 9th house, which is amazing. I mean, especially the first 5 months of the year, Jupiter will also be in Taurus. And with Uranus there in your 9th house, it's fantastic to travel, it's fantastic to learn, it's fantastic to teach, it's fantastic to have a bigger mind, a bigger picture, to have that optimism. It's amazing for Virgos. So if you want to make a huge trip, a faraway trip, do it. Whilst Jupiter is still in Taurus up until the 25th of May, it can help you a lot with how you see life, and that's amazing. And then Jupiter enters in Gemini in your 10th house. So for the rest of the year. So that is expansion when it comes to your work. For those of you who are working, growth is coming. Growth is coming. Although at the same time, Saturn is in Pisces and restricting it a little bit. So let's get into it. Who is going to feel more the restriction? Who's going to feel more the expansion? Or maybe you're going to feel both. The ones who are going to feel the expansion are like 2/3 of all Virgos, because Jupiter goes a bit faster than Saturn, and Jupiter will be in Gemini between 0 and 21 degrees of Gemini. So the Virgos who've got planets between 0 and 21 degrees will feel this expansion in their careers, in how you want to be seen in the world. You know, it's a more positive kind of outlook on life, you could say. So that's amazing. Now, Saturn restricts. We already have Neptune and Pisces, but also Saturn. And Saturn will be traveling through the 7th house between 3 degrees and 19 degrees. So you could say some Virgos, well, most of you Virgos are going to feel both of these energies. And the restriction and the responsibilities and all of that, it comes from another person, Saturn in your 7th house. So it could mean, for instance, simply that you want to expand on a, you know, a level of work, and you're traveling, or you're, you know, getting a promotion, and you're growing, but, you know, your relationship is like almost, it seems, restricting. Of course, it's a projection because it's your 7th house of relationships. So it could mean that your spouse is saying like, oh, well, all that travel, it's not good for the kids, and blah, blah, blah. You see, there's like this, but it's not to annoy you. It is to balance this out. So yes, there is a responsibility. And if you're not in a relationship, it could mean that you are expanding on the level of work and whatnot, but you feel that you can't really relate to others. Or there could be a fear of relationships, and you're very cautious, to say the least, when Saturn crosses the 7th house. But Saturn in the 7th house, when you are single, can mean that you really, really start being responsible for your situation, and you're looking inwards as well. Then what else? Well, that's the biggest thing, actually. So an important year, absolutely. For some of you, still a bit of a tricky year when it comes to relationships, but you are warned here. But definitely for a lot of you, a combination of work and relationships getting into balance. For a lot of empathy towards the self as well, and the understanding of the self, but also for growth when it comes to how you want to be seen in the world, for sure. And I like that. So thank you very much, dear Virgos. Make the best out of it.